Lease agreements need to state what property is being rented, what the value of the rental is, what the term of the lease agreement is. In other words, if it's a fixed term, if it's a month-to-month term, and the length of that fixed term agreement. In the future, lease agreements will also need to state what the rights and the obligations of both the tenant and the landlord is, and those rights and obligations are in fact written into the new bill. They're in the current Act as it stands at the moment, but the new bill requires that each one of those rights and obligations be drafted in the lease agreement. Those rights and obligations would include things such as the deposit, so what the value of the deposit is, how the refunding of the deposit would take place, whether if there's no damage, it's refunded in 7 days, if there is damage, 14 days after restoration, or if the tenant doesn't come to the outgoing inspection within 21 days of the termination of the lease. It also looks at the inspection, so there must be an incoming and an outgoing inspection performed by both the tenant and the landlord. It takes into account when the rent must be paid, is it monthly, and what date the rent must be paid. If that's not in place, rent must be paid on the first of the month. It includes the right of the landlord to receive their rent timeously as agreed in terms of the lease agreement. It allows the landlord to take action where a tenant doesn't pay rent, in other words, going to get a court order to force the rent to be paid or to impose an eviction process on the tenant.